Eggs is a podcast about all things creative, regardless of what that means to you. From the creativity involved in launching a business, building a brand, crafting an entertainment career, or whatever, we talk about the process of growing your egg from start to finish. Today's show is brought to you by Goodside Skateboards. Go to www.goodsideskateboards.com for great deals on decks and awesome t-shirts and pretty much anything you can think of. Well, not quite. Anyways, enter Egg Show, that's EGGSSHOW, when you check out. Get 20% off? Yeah, I think it's 20%. Anyways, Egg Show when you check out to get 20% off at goodsideskateboards.com. Also, don't forget to check out our friends at Deli Fresh Threads. They're a Florida-based clothing company. They specialize in t-shirts and other apparel. And they celebrate what they call the king of meals, the sandwich. Check out their website, delifreshthreads.com, and make sure you enter Egg Show when you go to check out for 10% off. That's EGGSSHOW. Get 10% off when you check out. All right, delifreshthreads.com.
Right here, right now. Calling out to all area crew. We gon' make it all happen right here, right now. Calling out to all area crew. We gon' make it all happen right here, right now. Calling out to all area crew. We gon' make it all happen right here, right now.
Hey, welcome to the show. Today's guest is an exciting one. Hailing from Los Angeles by way of Laredo, Texas, he's a breakout artist on the Latin music scene. He's worked his way up from the bottom, coming from an immigrant family in a border town to working with some of the most accomplished producers and artists in the business. Promoting his latest single, En El Aire, and kicking off his latest tour, headlining the event Mi Cielo, January 19th at Sky Nightclub in Salt Lake City. Allow me to introduce our guest, singer, songwriter, actor, and dancer, Jesse Medeles. Welcome to the show, Jesse.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah. It's an honor for me to be on the show, so thank you.
Not a problem. Thank you for making time to be on it.
Yeah, man. Thank you for making this work.
Of course.
I know the life of a musician is a hectic one, so I'm glad to hear that you were able to make this work. So
I appreciate that.
Let's go ahead and get this thing started, sort of from the beginning. Let's talk a little bit about growing up. So you're born and raised, sort of grew up in Laredo, Texas.
Yeah, pretty much. I kind of grew up in Laredo, Texas, Zapata, the Valle, which is Mission, McAllen, because when you work in the fields, it's called a campesino or you're an immigrant. I'm Mexican-American, and I was born here in the United States, but since I was a kid, my parents, we would travel everywhere to work in the fields and stuff like that, agriculture. And sometimes there's work in Mississippi, sometimes there's in Laredo, Texas, and so I was
just wherever the work's available, pretty much.
Exactly. So I'm like a kid of the world, you could say that.
Cool. So tell us about your family. So you said that you guys worked out in the fields and things like that. Good upbringing, difficult upbringing. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, of course. So when I was a kid, and I'm going to put a very good point to this. So when I was a kid, my mom had her first child at the age of 12 years old. So she didn't know better. So she did the best she could do raising us up, but my parents were separated. So it was a rocky childhood. They would get together and they would separate, stuff like that. So pretty much for me, I was sent from my brothers and sisters, so we would work in the field, stuff like that, and work for ourselves. Since I was a little kid, I learned how to survive kind of like on my own. At the age of 12 is when my grandma took me in from the streets and taught me what the love is of a mother, and she's my world. But I never like to see this as, it's a sad story, it's this, because I don't like people to feel sorry for me. I'm happy because it's made me the person who I am. It makes me appreciate things even more. And I don't have anything against my mom, my father, or anything, because they did the best they could do. If you think about it, they were children themselves. So they didn't even know how to take care of themselves. So I've just never been the type of person that likes to put faults on people.
Well, yeah. No, that's really cool. Well, and sort of speaking to that, you did go on and graduate college, which is a big accomplishment. I think there are a lot of sort of immigrant kids, down there in those border cities that probably don't work their way through college. What did you go to school for?
Well, healthcare administration, and then I have my personal training. And that's another thing that I would love to touch on, too, is I had to get out of fifth grade, out of school. So I was out of school after the fifth grade, and I was out for a while and stuff like that. And so I could never be in a school just because of my my unsteady upbringing.
Yeah.
It's always been a goal of mine. Like everything they said I can do that I want to accomplish. Like the music is what saved my life. Like I would write music in the fields and when I was like in and out of trash cans or doing whatever when I was a kid growing up, that would create a fantasy in my mind and give me hope and fire in life. So music, I didn't know that it really is the air I breathe. So without music, I can't live. But at the same time, I've always been a warrior in life. Since I was a kid, I never saw a negative situation. Like no matter what I was in, I always had a smile on my face. When I was working in the field, they were some of the best times in my life because it made me who I am today. And I had a lot of fun there. I had a lot of fun with my people there.
Yeah, the camaraderie that you probably feel.
Exactly. And exactly. And in life, you always have that family that says, you can't do this, you can't do that, and you're going to be like your parents. But little reasons like that. But at the same time, I've always wanted to just go to school and conquer that. I'm not going to say make something of myself because I don't. Even those that can't go to school for certain circumstances doesn't mean they didn't make nothing of themselves. So I want to word it right. But my biggest thing was one of the other things I wanted to conquer, and everything I set my mind to, I conquer it, was I wanted to go to school, especially because it's hard for me to learn. Like something that takes somebody like an hour will take me like a day to learn, like when it comes to school. And so it took me a lot of tears, a lot of studying and all that, and that's when I got my healthcare administration degree. And I did a lot of little vocational schools, which was the medical assistant, Texas Careers for MOS, and then I thought that was college, but I guess it's not. So whenever I would go on a private job, they're like, what's this? And I'm like, oh, it's my college degree. And they're like, no, that's not a college degree. That's just a vocational school. And they would, yeah, so it's like, how much do you get paid extra? Oh, no, you get paid the same as everybody else. So I was like, what? So that's the reason I wanted to go to school, just to conquer it, and that's how I got my.
Cool. Well, let me ask you about inspiration. Now, it sounds to me like a lot of this is maybe sort of internal fortitude and grit, sort of on your end. That you know, this drive that pushes you to conquer and stuff like that. It's sort of built into you. But do you have any inspiration growing up? I mean, did Grandma play music in the house? What sort of inspired you to get into music and acting and all these things?
So, I didn't know that music has just always been within me since I was a little kid. So even when I was in diapers, as soon as music would come on, I was dancing. I was dancing cumbia because I'm Mexican American. So they'll put a lot of cumbias, Tex-Mex down there in Texas. And they'll put on like Selena Quintanilla, Intocable, Los Bookies, and my mom would put out Los Broncos, Vicente Fernandez, like all these Latin artists. But at the same time as I would hear that, I would hear like hip hop, I would hear pop, and I would hear a little bit of everything. So I've always been inspired by just music in general. It doesn't matter from what culture, and that's another thing that's always inspired me. And some of my people that I idolize in the music industry are like people like Missy Elliott. I think collaborating with her when they would be a dream. J Balvin is another person that I'd love to collaborate one day too. But so my biggest inspiration was just, it's always been within me, but at the same time, growing up, like my grandma would teach me, if you have a dream, follow it. And even if you, it's like, haven't you ever, she would put an example for me. She's like, haven't you ever stood on a brick and reached for the sky? You're that closer to a star. And get on top of the roof, even closer. So
I love that outlook on life. I think it's a great way to just think in general. If you set a goal and you work towards it, eventually one of these days you'll make it. and just stand on a brick to be a little bit closer. I like that outlook.
Yeah, and she also had another thing that I'd love to plug in to.
Yeah, of course.
She has like the way I was raised up too was like, if you really think about it, and we're having a discussion today, she's like, everybody's born a star. She's like, every single one, because it doesn't matter what you do, if you try to imitate somebody, and she would tell me all this in Spanish. She's like, if you would try to imitate that person, it don't matter what you do, you'll never nail them 100%. So everybody's born with it. The difference is that there's those people that jump at the risks and that are not afraid of being risk takers. And those are the ones that get far. So she would always educate me, never be afraid if you have something, rather die trying than die than never have tried.
Exactly.
Well, and I think, as we're hearing from talking to you, the sort of internal fortitude or this internal strength, it was, clearly within you to begin with, but it, was reinforced by the way your grandmother raised you. It's really cool.
So at an early age, when you started, you found that you liked, music, and you had a passion for music. Did you learn any instruments, or did you just kind of sing along with the radio, or, have a friend that played or something? Do you play an instrument as well, or no? No,
I never played. I never played instruments because I would have to work a lot. My dad plays the guitar because my dad is a really good he knows how to sing really good, like mariachi style.
Uh-huh.
And so he knows how to play the accordion. He knows how to play the guitar, but they weren't really ever around a lot. My parents, I had to work a lot to survive. Even when I was a kid, like 8, 9 years old, I was always working in the fields. I would do like 14-hour-a-day shifts, and so it was really, really hard to play an instrument. You gotta dedicate some time
and practice and everything involved.
Yeah, so the knowledge I have and stuff has always been going through the stuff, like falling on my feet, and then I learned it the right way. So I've always had that in my life.
Cool. Well, let's talk a little bit then. So we grow up in the field, we're inspired, we have a lot of music in our life, but now you're trying to build a little bit of a career. So let's talk about paying dues in Texas and working your way up and actually starting to develop what later became sort of a music career. Can you talk a little bit about, some of the early days, the people you worked with, the people who helped move you along, that sort of thing?
First show kind of thing?
Yeah. So, well, I've always been in the land world, they call it a pingo. A pingo means like somebody that just gets out there. You can't tell them no. And if I would hear stuff on the radio like, oh my God, you want to be a star? Disney is looking for the Netflix, whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, I gotta go there. And then I would show up to these places and they're like, okay, you got 2 weeks to come up with $3,000 and you're going to be a star. And I'm like, and of course they would audition you and do certain things. And I'm like, oh, wow, cool. And I'm like, so I'm over there working in the fields, asking my brother, trying to get loans and money that I'll save up, like, would last me like years to save up. Because remember, in the fields, you would get paid like how much, like $4 something an hour, $5, because you know how some people could take advantage of immigrants.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So, and I would get scammed by these companies. And so that happened to me a lot. It happened to me so much with so many different scouts. And there was even one specific scout that said, Jesse, we really like you. You're at our elite level and this and that. And of course, they would put me like through this little camp thing and stuff like that. But that's like $7,000 later that you paid. And they're like, when you get to LA, give me a call and we're going to do this. And I remember when I first moved down to LA, I was like, yeah, it's going to be awesome. I moved down to LA and I'm like, hey, hi, I'm here and things like that. Who are you? And I'm like, oh, remember you said this. Call me tomorrow. Cool. Hangs up the phone.
So did
and
you?
then I call again. I'm like, hi. Uh-huh.
I was going to say, so you moved to LA on the presumption of one of these people that you worked with. You moved out there hoping that being around and being closer would get you a little bit further in the door. How old were you when you moved there?
Well, I moved here to LA 6 years ago. I'm 24. I'm going to be 25. So I'm bad at math. Yeah. So 6 years ago, I moved here to LA. When all this stuff was happening to me with the scouts and all that stuff, and I would call and I'm like, hi, I'm down here, whatever. A lot of me being ripped off, and I was an extra too, in a lot down there in Texas, and I would put myself in anything before I started booking like TV shows and acting, because I've done a lot of acting and TV shows. But I went through my whole trials and tribulations where I had to learn kind of the stuff myself. So when I moved down here like 6 years ago, before that I had come down here for a trip. When was it? I was super young. I came down here with a group of friends, and that's when we had called this person. Because remember, I've been trying to do this since I was like 12 years old. I would go on audition. I've been doing everything, and ever since I could. But and I remember I called, and they're like, "Oh no, by the way, I'm too busy. I'm not accepting anybody else," and then they would hang up. So my biggest thing to people is get out there. Don't believe in, you don't never have to pay for your talent, and get yourself good headshots, good acting agents, and that's all you really need. And for the music, I've always invested in myself, and now I'm so grateful. It's been the most magical year for me. After everything I've been, growing up in the fields, growing up in the streets, and going through everything, being scammed so much by music producers, by acting talent agents, by so much, I'm glad I went through all that, because it taught me. And now I would never. Now I have a lot to learn, because I'll never stop being a student. But I know enough from the music industry, and that's why the past year has been so magical for me, because, like, I appreciate all the Latin media, Univision, Telemundo, all of them. Doing documentaries about me, putting me all over their TV shows, and the support I've gotten from the right people.
Yeah, I was going to say, coming from an experience like that, where you've been screwed over a few times and just thrown around and not really appreciated, to, you know, the last year you finally got some traction built up. Were you kind of jaded? Were you kind of, you know, like, hesitant to work with certain people because of past experiences, or were you just kind of, you know, I got an opportunity, I'm going to take it?
Well, what I started doing is creating my own opportunities. So I lost the mentality about a year and a half ago, where I took control of my torch and of who I was, and that's when everything changed. And even when my acting agents are amazing, which is Momentum Talent, and me, my cousin, which is Chris Cerveño, that does a lot of my managing and stuff like that. We got out there and hired the right PR, which is Fusion for Media, and created a lot of the opportunities that's happened to me in the past year, and building the brand of Jesse Medeles.
Yeah, well, and I think that's a really interesting point, and something I'd just like to draw a little bit of extra attention to is sort of that transition from looking out for other people's opportunities to creating your own. I think that's a pretty significant thing that people ought to, you know, stop and think about, because I think there are a lot of folks that stand around, especially, I mean, it seems like in the music business, but I think probably would relate to most industries. You know, a lot of folks sort of stand around and they wait for opportunity to find them. And I think one of the big differentiators is that, you know, actually changing your mindset and saying, you know what, we're going to create the opportunities and people can come to us. And I think that speaks really to sort of your internal fortitude and everything else. I think that really speaks to your character. But I also think that's a really good point. So I kind of wanted to put a button on that.
Yeah.
No, yeah, like the thing with this is I have the mentality, like, I'm not like gonna wait for somebody to discover me or whatever. I do music and it's my passion. Remember, I've been scammed thousands and thousands of dollars, and it'd be easier for me to just give up, but it's not. Like, if I give music up, I just can't breathe anymore. So Jesse has no reason to live.
Yeah,
and that's what saved me in my times where I used to sometimes cry outside of the trash can because my little brothers and we didn't have any food, and I would write music and I would create this fire in me. And after that, as soon as I was done writing like something, I was a beast inside of me, and I was the richest person in the world, fire-wise.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And so I've always been like that. But the past year and a half, like everything I've done, and the reason my career has gotten this far has been because I just took control. And it's one of the things I want to inspire people. My movement is there's always a way. When I was first starting off, even when I first was going to do my first music video. Oh, it's 15,000 for status. Oh, it's 50,000 for this and 20,000. And I'm like, I don't have all that money. I'm an independent artist. And it's just like people get discouraged. I'm like, well, let me cut all the middle people out and let me just go directly to the sources. And when it comes to my wardrobe, I'll design and I'll do this and I'll do that. So, and my cousin is like, well, I'll do the casting. I'll do this. And now, like, I'm able to do everything at what's it called? Like the level of like Beyonce, Missy Elliott, P. Diddy, and video quality, which, and I do it because like you can't tell this Latino like you can't do it.
Well, I would say that's one of the things that we really noticed, in doing research for this show and everything. We watched several of your videos and we heard a lot of the music and stuff. And I mean, for an independent artist, I mean, the production quality is as good as anything you see out there, as good as a J Balvin or Daddy Yankee or whatever. And, so congrats on that. But let me take a little bit of a sidestep. I know that these are sort of parallel paths for you, but I think the easiest way to talk about them is two separate paths. So music is your passion, but you're also, a persistent actor. You've shown up as extras in a number of movies and television series. Can you talk a little bit about the acting track and what got you into acting?
Yeah, so when I was a little kid, I would imitate a lot of the acting and stuff like that. Entertaining people, just me doing which could be acting and music, it's my passion. So it really is that. Like, music saved my life, and it does something magical to me. But entertaining people and just being there, like putting a smile on people's faces, is what really, really does it for me. And acting and music do that. Starting off in Texas, I would do a lot of extra work and stuff like that, and then I worked myself up. I did take acting classes too with some really good acting coaches and stuff like that. And then I started booking like supporting roles, leading roles, and stuff like that in TV shows and movies. I did Friday Night Lights, Chase. I did Snitch with The Rock and Susan Sarandon. I did a $5.15 an hour. It was a pilot where I was one of the leads with the Medeles. And I kind of worked myself up from the bottom up into acting.
So music was first, acting was second. Did you notice that doing these acting side gigs helped your music out, or was it kind of vice versa?
I kind of did everything together. Like, as I would be going on auditions for acting, and at the same time, I'm like, I'm going to put an example. So before I knew, when you're learning everything by yourself, I thought, oh my God, you're going to go in that audition room and show them everything you can do, and they're going to discover you. That was the mentality. That was an innocent kid's mentality. So when I would go on auditions, they're like, oh, they're having auditions for this TV show. I would go in there and I'm like, oh, well, I'm not going to read the lines. I'm like, what they gave me the script. Let me just show them all my talent. So when I would get in there, I would start singing for them, and I'll start dancing. I would put up a show for them. And they'll be like, what the hell is he doing? What the hell? And right now, actually, I'm working on a TV series with some directors and producers that I worked with in the past. All She Can, which is director Amy Wendell and Dan, the producer, and we're writing kind of like a TV series of everything I've been through with situations like this, and at the same time, but it's going to be bigger. It's not going to be adjusting another documentary. It's going to be everything I've been through, like, to break stereotypes. Because I've been in auditions where they're like, Jesse, you're not Mexican enough. And I'm like, what do you think Mexicans look like? I'm like, yeah. They're like, you're too white. You look Americanized. I'm like, Latinos, we come in all beautiful colors. We come dark. We come safe. So part of the whole Jesse movement is completely being a risk taker and inspiring others. Because if I came from nothing and I'm doing it, you can do it. And to make people realize their stars, but most important is break stereotypes. And any ethnic, because I've always been inspired by ethnic. I like the Latin, the Anglo market. I like the some of the stuff that they have, that Gundam style, the cultures in life. It really inspired me. So I think a lot of my movement is just unity.
Yeah. Do you have any specific, fun memories or anything from working on, on set? Like, did you have a chance to meet The Rock or anything like that? I mean, that movie came out a few years ago. Maybe he was a little more accessible back then.
Yeah, he was. well, you know, the cool thing about him, because I have a lot of friends that do acting and have worked with them, and even a friend of mine that did he was a part extra, he works at the you know, the Jumanji, the movie that just came out, that he's part of the crew.
Uh-huh.
So my friend is part of the whole crew and stuff like that, and he told me, I'm gonna be honest, when I met The Rock, he was the coolest guy, coolest guy, and you will never even tell that he's The Rock, like the Dwayne Johnson. And a lot of my friends that have had those past experiences with him have said he's the exact same person.
Just a good person in general.
When I was eating, I remember I was in Phoenix and I went in there and I was gonna have my cheat meal because I follow a healthy lifestyle, and I was gonna have my cheat meal, and I'm like, oh my god, I should have this or whatever. And he's like, well, you have your cheat meal, I'll have my cheat meal, or something. and he was passing by, so I was like, okay, cool. Well, if he's doing it, I'll do it, because you know I was so indecisive. And even Susan Sarandon came in with a big smile, and so a lot of the people I've met, like I'm grateful that a lot of the artists are really cool, and there are a lot of them. I'm not gonna lie, that you meet them in person and you're like, oh wow, like that guides me to now I don't want to be like that.
Yeah,
I don't want to be that way. But there's people like The Rock and other people that I met, or the guy that comes out in what's his name, The Walking Dead, the one that's actually Shane.
Yeah.
Coolest guy. Yeah, he's the coolest guy. We chatted a lot because I did that snitching film, and he is the coolest guy. So that's a lot how I am, and that's why when people are when they're on my set and when I'm doing things, I treat everybody like a star, because in reality, there is no really Jesse's a star in the productions of the videos. No, without them, Jesse won't look as good as he's looking. Without the choreographer, Jesse doesn't learn all this. Without the camera and the lighting people, Jesse's not going to look the way he looks. Without my cousin helping me out on some of the wardrobe and things like that. So it takes a team to create it. So I love to give credits to my team. I love to, without you guys make me bring out the shine in me. So, and I just do my job. I just do the entertaining and the performing part. But without all that other stuff, the quality won't look as amazing.
So when you first got to LA, was it hard to kind of get your foot in the door, or was it hard? I mean, how did you start finding out about these auditions? Did you work with another agent, or did you just kind of look in the back of a magazine and see what's available, kind of thing?
No, I got here so hard the first year, 2 years. It was like I don't even know how to get an agent. And then I would ask people, how do you do this, and how do you do that? And here, like a lot of people in LA, and they'll be like, well, you're a threat to me, so I would never help you out. No disrespect. Look on the yellow pages, and you would get a lot of that coldness. And it's nothing bad. Like, I wouldn't take a negative. I'm like, okay, I'll figure it out myself. I figured out my whole life by myself. Since I was a kid, this will be easier. So I kind of figured out the formula. I took some really good headshots. And with a lot of experiences I had already had in Texas, I started submitting to agents. Hi, my name is Jesse Medeles. This is my credits, my resume. I am currently looking for the right home for me. So I've never been like the desperate type of person. I was always like, I want to find myself a family and type of people. So and some agents are like looking for a home for you. Well, first of all, we decide who we want. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you so much for your time. And then I wouldn't use them.
Yeah.
And then,
right.
But there were some agents that were like, because when I said because I had already done a lot of, I had my demo reel. So when they would look at my work, it would speak for itself. Kind of like with my music videos and my music, like if you work hard at something and dedicate a lot to your craft, you won't have to talk a lot. You send them your stuff and they'll see how epic you could be how epic through your work. So
sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find the right family? Did you find a good agent, someone that's
I did. Yes, I'm with Momentum Talent Agency. They're located in Beverly Hills, and they're amazing. And they get me, because sometimes they're like, Jesse, you booked this role and you went out there, and I'm like, oh, I read it. I'm like, I'm not interested. It's so stereotyping us Latinos. I'm like, I don't want to be part of that wave. I'm like, I know I'm not a big star. I know I'm not this. I know I'm not that. I'm like, but but I do this because I love it and it's my passion. And through all my learnings and my trials and tribulations, I feel like I've done enough in order to be part of breaking that new wave. So then they're like, Jesse, and this, but they respect me, and that's what I love. So when it comes to auditions, when it comes to a lot of the stuff, I believe in quality over quantity. So if not, by right now, you would have seen me in a lot of other stuff, one-liners, two-liners, and things. But I like to keep quality, and even with my music, I've grown so much, and I'm so grateful that I've been able to work with so many multi-Grammy producers and all that, and I worked so hard for all this to create these opportunities.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that a little bit. Let's transition back into music and talk a little bit about what's going on with your music career. So the most recent song is called En el Aire. You can find it on Spotify, Tidal, all the digital streaming services and stuff. And it's really a cool song. It's a fun song, and
you can tell it's produced really well too.
Yeah, super highly produced. It's got a great producer behind it. And can you talk a little bit about the process of creating this new music? The working with this producer. I've got his name right here.
Yeah, so
with Alcover.
Of course. I have my, if you go to www.jessemedeles.com, which is JESSEMEDELES.com, or go to Vivo and type in Jesse Medeles, you can see my music videos. My first single was Sucia, my second one was Amor, and this video specifically, which is En el Aire, it's 100% Jesse, because I did Sucia, I did Amor, and but with this one, it was to create my sound. Who really is Jesse Medeles?
Well, and I was going to say, now that since you sort of alluded to it, when we were doing research for this and we were listening to your music and other things, there's a distinct difference between Sucia and Amor and El Aire. Like the sound is different. Yeah. You can see that you're developing a sound and you're moving into it. And then El Aire is much more like a J Balvin or a Daddy Yankee, something like that. And so it's cool to reggaeton. Yeah, it's cool to sort of see that transition. So so maybe talk a little bit about that, and then working with the producer and everything on En el Aire.
Yeah, so when I first had done Sucia and I did Amor, Jesse was still finding stuff and all that, and I stand strong with those songs. It still wasn't 100% conquering the 100% Jesse. So I was finding myself and all that, and so I did those songs. But when I regrouped and found who Jesse was, I went in. My friend David Rolas, he's like, you got to work without cover. He's basically some icons in the reggaeton world. Like, this guy produced some of Don Omar's biggest hits. Don Omar and a lot of other people. And Don Omar is one of the people that were part of the creation of reggaeton and that, like Daddy Yankee and all those people.
Well, I honestly, like coming out of, I'm not Latino, I don't speak Spanish, reggaeton isn't really my kind of thing, but Don Omar, Don Zacaduro, when that song blew up, that was my kind of introduction to reggaeton and that type of music, and now I see it everywhere. It's exploded. So
yeah, it's such a big wave. So when I started working, I went in the studio and me and Alcover, which is ANX, we just vibed. We connected very well, and remember, like a year ago, that's when I pretty much cleaned house and found who the people I wanted to be part of the movement, who Jesse is 100%, and that's when I reconnected with this producer, which is ANX, and I'm not reconnected when I was introduced to producer ANX. It was an honor creating who Jesse Medeles is 100%, and his sound, and even the past songs have always been stepping stones to create this guy that I am today, this monster that's going to be giving y'all music now that's going to be out of this world. So I created an El Aire. So y'all go, my recent singles in El Aire. I'm going to be performing in Salt Lake City, Utah, January 19 at Mi Cielo for Dirty Dave's birthday bash. And David Rolas, DJ Dirty Dave, have been supporters of mine from day one.
That's awesome.
So when he's like, Jesse, I would love for you to do this. I'm like, bro, he's like, can you make time for your schedule? Can you do this? Because it has been when you're independent, you're busy a lot because you have to do it all.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, you're VIP in my world. let me move stuff around, and I'm going to definitely make your show, and I'm going to put up a really cool show. So I started rehearsals this Saturday to put up a really nice show for him down there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm working on a lot of new music right now. I'm in talks with the right people, and possible collaborations. I can't say too much about that stuff right now, just crossing the fingers they go through. And so there's a lot of magical stuff that's going to happen in this year, and all I want people to know is the day you take control of your own torch is the day your life is going to change, and that's what I did a year and a half ago.
So how did you meet Dave? Being from LA and he's in Salt Lake and everything like that, did he just kind of know your music, or?
So I'm signed to BMI. And I think we were at a convention one time, and he was just the coolest guy, and we connected, and we're like, we should write together sometime. So we started writing a song one time, and you know, when you just have destiny put certain people in your life, and you just have that connection, and you don't realize, like, oh wow, it's weird, we just connected, and now we're like family. That happened with David Rolas.
That's
and then
awesome.
David Rolas, then when David Rolas, when I was telling him, like, I'm like, I've restructured and I'm carrying my own torch in my team and I'm doing this and that. He's like, bro, you got to meet this person, and introduced me even to Mad Music, which does all of Maluma stuff too. Well, a lot of Maluma's beginning from like Temperatura, El Carnaval, the stuff that blew up. And so I also worked with Mad Music, which was with Mad Music, with Too Swift, which he's down here. He does a lot of like the salsa music and the cumbias, and so I found a lot of really cool producers, and I really worked on a lot of really good music that I'm just anxious to show you guys. Yeah. And Elide is the door that we created, and now we opened it.
Yeah, well, and I think I saw on Instagram maybe just 2 or 3 days ago a studio shot of you in Alcover again. Are we working on new music in addition to the Enelaire? Yeah. So any idea on drop dates or anything?
I know right now, like, because you know when you're independent, I did all this music and I'm a lot of good talks with a lot of the right people right now. So I'm very grateful for that. I like to be ahead of the game. So I have my next single already, but I wanted to have more options. So I went and worked on another 4 songs. And so right now I have like 6 songs other than En El Aire that I just can't wait for you guys to hear.
So are some of those going to be included in your performance?
No, not yet. You're going to see, I'm going to perform Sucia, I'm going to perform En El Aire, of course, and then the song that was Viva that I'm going to be performing there. And at Salt Lake City, Utah. But as soon as I find out when my next single and what it's going to be and the game plan, I'll definitely let you guys know and come back on your show and talk to you guys about it.
Yeah,
because,
please do.
To be honest, media like you guys and stuff like that, I have a lot of respect for, because you guys are what makes the independent artists and people like me. So whenever I meet a lot of media and they're like, Jesse, thank you for making time, I'm like, of course. I'm like, no, thank you guys for having me. I'm like, so then I'm like, I'm grateful. I'm like, I'm always going to be that person.
So do you intend on releasing these one at a time, or are you going to put them out as an album or an EP, or just kind of see how it goes?
Maybe speak a little bit to the way we do music these days. It seems like the importance of a single is much more than the importance of an album anymore.
Yeah, actually, you know that there. So right now you could release it as singles, or you could release it as an EP. So we're kind of deciding how we want to release it, which right now I'm letting my management team decide that. So I'm kind of like you guys. I'm like, oh my God, I like this song. No, I like that song. No, it should be this one. And because a lot of it goes by what the right timing too. And there's certain songs that are just so big that you got to hold on to. So like that, you release it at the right timing. So it's now that I've learned so much of the music industry, I'm like, okay, so this is how it works. But regardless, whichever next single is going to be, I assure you guys that you guys are going to be so impressed, and you guys are going to see the growth of this artist a lot, and how much I evolved, and and I'm just very grateful. And even the beginning stuff I had done, which is Sucia and Amor, like, I'm grateful for those too, because, like, you're always growing. And 2-3 years from now, we could be talking again. And I'm like, guys, and now I thought even more of Jesse, because you're discovering yourself all the time. And,
no, I think that's a really good point. And, you know, I mean, for me anyway, and, you know, because I mean, this show is more or less, you know, our version of an aspiring independent artist, you know, and so I think we can really empathize with, you know, just some of the struggles of being an independent artist. And both my co-host Mike and I have been involved in the music business for a number of years and have worked with a lot of independent artists.
Oh,
so
nice.
It's always exciting to see, you know, guys coming up through the ranks and starting to get some attention and get that traction, because we all know it's a struggle.
Exactly, and that's my biggest message. It's just because you're independent doesn't mean you have to do stuff that looks independent. Like, anybody could do it, and that's what I want to put out there to just everybody. I'm like, you could wear, like, some people, like, the calls we get now are from like let's say if we approached a record label, and this has happened to me from 2 different labels, and they're like, and a person that I'm starting to work with right now introduced me, hi, this is an artist I'm starting to work with, this is Jesse Medeles. They're like, yeah, we've heard of that kid. They're like, are you sure he's not signed to the label? And my friend called me, bro, are you sure? Nope. I'm like, no, I'm 100% free. No signed. I don't know money to no label, no contracts, nothing. I'm like, and I love to hear that because it's like, that's a message I want to put out there to other independent artists and it's just dedicate time, work hard, and you could do things that will be at the level of.
Maybe this is a little bit of a technical direction, but I mean, can you speak at all to just also having sort of the availability of the kind of technology we have nowadays for an independent artist? It sure seems that it's infinitely more doable in 2018 to be an independent artist. You know, maybe the power of the label isn't really what it used to be. You know, can you speak, you know, at least to your own experience, what you think the pros and cons of a label versus independent, that sort of thing?
Yeah, well, I'm going to speak of my situation just because I don't want to like give wrong information that I don't know, but I'll definitely give you my status. How I believe right now, this is where I'm at. I'm independent. Of course, I would love a machine behind me, but I want the right machine. So why would I got to invest in myself in order for somebody to invest in myself, in me. So if it's like I got to believe in myself in order for somebody else to believe in me. So the way I'm moving is I'm creating equity in the movement of Jesse Medeles and quality and all this stuff. And like that, the right person that will see it, kind of like the way I did it with my acting agent. If you don't see it, then you're not the right person for the group. So let's say if I sit down, let's say you guys are El Mundo Records or World, I don't even know. I'm just putting a hypothetical. And I sit down with you guys, and if you guys go in there, Jesse, I've seen this, you got this far by yourself. From here, I could take you over there with my resources, because labels have those right connections, those world connections. Then that's the right home for me, because y'all guys have the fire and y'all want. But if I sit down with the label, they're like, well, you've not done this, well, you've done this. It means not that they're bad people, it's just that they're not the right home for me. Because I'm getting myself to the place and creating all the content that either you see it or you don't see it. And if you don't see it, that's not the right home for me.
Well,
so
I think that's a really like mature perspective, I guess, you know, because I think a lot of people would be anxious to
just get signed.
Jump at anybody that might sign a contract with them. And so I think it's a really, you know, not only smart in terms of business, but also just kind of a mature perspective to not try and jump. And I know you're kind of a young guy and stuff, so I think that's a, you know, really, you know, again, not to kiss your ass too much, but, you know, it really speaks to your character. I think that's pretty great.
No, I appreciate that. And like I say, I believe I have an older soul, a mature soul.
Well, you've been through a lot more than most people, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've worked since I was a kid. Even like when I was in diapers, my parents were out there working in the fields too.
Yeah, well, and I think having that sort of that perspective or sort of that life experience definitely builds the type of character that you've got. I think, you know, there's a lot of people who are pretty soft these days and don't necessarily have your kind of upbringing. And I think, you know, that really builds good, strong character. So congratulations on all that. Well,
thank you guys.
In parting, I just wanted to sort of plug the new single again, En el Aire. produced by Alcover from ANX. It's available where all good music is found. You
It's
can
on
get
Spotify,
it
actually.
on Spotify, Tidal, any of the streaming services. Also at jessemedeles.com, you can find the music video, which is a lot of fun and super cool to check out. Also, in sort of closing, we're preparing for this last tour. As Jesse mentioned, he's debuting his big headlining performance for DJ Dirty
Dave.
DJ Dirty Dave.
DJ Dirty Dave's birthday spectacular. It's called Mi Cielo. It's happening at Sky Night Club in Salt Lake City on January the 19th. And with that, Jesse, anything else?
No, thank you guys for having me on the show. I had fun, and I'm glad we talked about this, and I'm glad I got to. Y'all guys you're hearing 100% Jesse. So even when I'm talking to you guys now and all that, it's who I am. So I appreciate you guys for the support.
That's cool. Well,
Yeah,
and as we said at the top, we do appreciate you taking the time to do this. And I think at least we're actually located in Salt Lake City, so there's a segment of our people who will be at the show on Friday the 19th. So we will see you there. So
yeah, and I'll see you guys there. Definitely come out and have a good time with us.
Yeah, of course. We're looking forward to it. So to find Jesse and more about Jesse Medeles, his music, his acting, go to Jesse's website. It's jessemedeles.com. You can also find him on all the social media channels, Instagram, Facebook, Musical.ly, Twitter at Jason Medeles or Jesse Medeles. That's JESSEMEDELES. And with that, you can find out more about me and my company, R2 Media Group, Ryan Rogar at r2mg.com or at r2mg on Twitter.
And you can find more about me at djontic.com. That's ONTIC. And
all you want and more about the show at eggscast.com.
Yep.
So with that, we'd like to thank our guest, Jesse Medeles, and we'll see you all next week.